Well, we are back with Mr. Jim Duff. We heard 11 of your wonderful songs that you shared with us in the first set. And now we're going to get to know you, Jim Duff, the songwriter, the person, the man, even better.
And Kentucky born, based out of Cincinnati.
That's right.
Let's start at the first part of that. Tell us about the first.
So I grew up in Kentucky and graduated high school in Kentucky. I was born in Cincinnati. My parents divorced. My mother moved to Kentucky. I grew up there. And then when I got diagnosed with cancer, I moved back to Cincinnati because they got some really, really good.
What age were you when that happened?
I was 3 when my parents moved.
No, when you got diagnosed.
That was 4 years ago, so 46, 44, 47.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm 50 now.
It's way too young. Way too young.
So there's a bunch of stuff that happened in between that. So you went to high school where?
In Lincoln County, Kentucky, Stanford, Kentucky, which is one of the third oldest cities in the state.
What part of Kentucky? Is that in the eastern or western?
That's South Central Kentucky, right there at Hall's Gap, Maldoff Mountain Range there. It's the foothills of the east, the Alleghenies there.
Okay. At what point in time did you start playing music or picking up an instrument and realizing, hey, I can do this?
12 years old. I started playing guitar when I was 12 years old, and I immediately started writing songs. Of course, they weren't very good songs.
Now, when you were 12, who was on the radio that you were listening to?
So, I listened to the old Texas songwriters. My father and my mother. My father influenced me probably more than anybody in music, and he doesn't play a note of music, but he listened to great Texas songwriters: Guy Clark, Bob Dylan, Townes Van Zandt, David Allen Cole. Waylon. He loved Waylon Jennings. Willie, obviously, yeah, Willie. So that's what I was listening to when I was in high school. It wasn't on the radio. I didn't listen to the music that all of my class listened to.
You listened to what your family listened.
That's it. Chris Christopherson. My mother and father had a mega vinyl collection, which I ended up with, which I still have, and Loretta Lynn, Tammy Wynette, Charlie Rich.
So country music.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. That's always been.
But when I hear your music,
It doesn't sound country.
I was telling Reno, I hear you as kind of folk with a touch of jazz.
Blues, maybe, too.
Yeah, well, blues.
Yeah.
I see that edge, but I find you more lyrically. I don't find your lyrics bluesy. I find them jazzy.
Yeah, cool.
Because they're wordy enough to be jazzy. Blues is, I got my ass kicked yesterday. I got my ass kicked yesterday. Yesterday I got my ass kicked. So it gets they just do a turnaround on it. But
there's a new song for you.
Got my ass kicked yesterday. I appreciate that. I'm not a country singer. I'm not. I never have been. I don't have the twang. Because I was influenced by a lot of different types of music. Country, like I said, but blues. Stevie Ray Vaughan, we were just talking about Stevie. When I was in high school, Stevie was the man to me.
Yeah.
And I play electric guitar, and so it was all different. Jazz, like Django Reinhardt, Wes Montgomery. That's the music that I listened to in high school.
So you mentioned you mentioned a lot of what I would call the singer-songwriters, or people who wrote songs that were published and done by other people. When did you think you could do that?
Well, I'm not sure that I've ever thought I could do it.
Well, you're doing it.
I write songs. I got my own publishing company, but I think when I guess maybe when I was
I'm just going to swing that over a little bit.
Maybe when I was mid-20s, when I was 25 years old, and I lived in Charlotte, North Carolina. That's when I really started to get into songwriting.
Yeah.
And it takes a while. You got to write a bunch of songs to write one good song, and so.
You don't realize that when you start.
Yeah, right.
Either you think you're real good or you think I can never do that.
Right. And I never did think that I was really good. I just, I'm always learning. I'm always trying to get better.
Do you ever co-write with anybody?
I've got a couple songs, but rarely. I've written a couple songs with my son. I have a 30-year-old son, Waylon.
Oh, wow.
His name's Waylon Duff. He's my first one, and he's a phenomenal guitar player. Awesome musician. And
now don't tell me your second son's name is Willie.
No. His name is Mac. Mac Duff.
Even better.
Yeah.
Mac Duff. Not after Mac Davis.
Is Mac showing signs of being a musician?
No, he's more of an athlete.
Yeah, well, name like Mac Duff, that's a good football player name,
He loves football. He absolutely loves it. I played football growing up and was decent and got a scholarship, but I didn't follow through on that. I just wanted to play music.
Yeah. Well, you're doing really well at it, that's for sure.
Well, I appreciate
it.
Now,
one of the things that you and I had talked about this afternoon, you got sidetracked for a number of years building communication towers.
That's right.
Tell everybody about that.
Well, after I had my first son, I had no choice but to go to work. And, and I mean, I grew up in a very rural place in the country. And there really wasn't, you were either a school teacher and my grandfather owned a funeral home, and I wasn't going to get into the funeral business. So I got lucky and hooked up with a company in Dallas, Texas. And when I was 19, hopped on a plane, came to Texas, and was in the tower communication business for 30 years until I was diagnosed with cancer. I started a consulting business when I was 25, climbing communication towers, and I'd take a bunch of pictures, and we did third-party inspections, and I'd put these things together in a PowerPoint presentation and deliver them to all the carriers. I had contracts with Sprint and MCI, and I did that. Went to Puerto Rico and did that for a while, but. Yeah, the telecom business was good, but I always wrote songs and always had a vision that one day I would come to Texas and play my songs. That was my goal.
And here you are.
And here I am.
Yeah.
So,
sometimes when your life goes in a direction that's totally unexpected and is earth-shattering, like a cancer diagnosis, it kind of probably helps you look at things a little bit differently than you had previously.
Absolutely.
And you just decide, okay, life's too short, and
I've always wanted to go to Texas, so
time to do this, and here you are. So
I am going.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah, I appreciate that. But it puts things in different perspective, and you start getting your priorities to start to change, and I'm going to do this because I might not get to do this now.
Right.
When you're healthy, you don't think about that,
And you mentioned that you have just recently come out, or in February, Spiritual Odyssey album.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about that and what got that started. And
so that's a new record, 9 new songs that I wrote. I produce and record all of my own records. I have a small studio in my home, and so I wrote most of these songs, like I said, going through treatments and things like that. And, just I go in and lay these songs down. And I can play several different instruments, piano, mandolin, guitar.
Heard you playing my piano.
Yeah, you played that piano very nicely. You made it sound really good.
Yeah, that thing does sound good. You guys got it tuned up well, too. So, yeah, I got the idea. It felt like I had been on a spiritual odyssey. So I put these songs together and went for it and recorded them and released a record.
Okay, so now that you've made your little tour through Texas, what are the next goals that you have to reach that you've set out for yourself with your music?
So coming back down here next year is number one. So I hope to come back down here next September, October, and do it all again.
Good.
I started out in Galveston, played a show in Palacios at a nice little listening room down there, played in Austin. So my goal is to put another tour together, maybe another EP. Now I'm going to spring something on you here. I wrote, while I was sick, I wrote a 50-page prose poem. that's going to be published by a publisher in London. And that is supposed to be out in March. It's called The Pantheon of the Senses. Wow. And I wrote that while I was sick and just pitched it to a publishing company, and they said, yeah, we love it. We'll pitch it, or we'll publish it. So that is going to be March, and I think we're going to start promoting that once that gets released. Then I'll be busy doing that. Locally, I think it's going to keep me local there.
Now, have you written any songs that kind of pertain to this that you could actually maybe join?
Definitely. Yeah. Like Cosmic Vagabond.
Okay, that's
those
all
songs. Back to the One. You know, those songs right there are kind of in the same vein of this poem.
Oh, okay, very cool.
Yeah.
So, when you come back to Texas, what are 4 or 5 places you'd like to play?
Well, right here.
Okay.
Would be number one.
We can accommodate that.
Good answer, by the way.
Yeah. Well, it's true, though. I'm not just saying that. I mean, I love this place. Back in Austin, again, back at the Cactus Cafe. Definitely Palacios again. I mean, I want to do all the places that welcomed me and have said that they'll have me back. But I've done the Old Quarter, but Houston.
Rex and Janet are
about
great.
To say,
They
Houston
are.
You need to get to
I
as well.
want to play in Houston.
Yep.
Always wanted to play in Houston, and I played at the JP the Hop House there one time.
Yeah, and you know it burned. I told you it burned.
Yeah.
Yeah. They'll probably rebuild, I would think.
I'm
I hope
not
so.
sure, but Anderson Fair is still there.
Anderson, that's the
Fair. We might can send your name to some channels down there.
Oh man, I'd appreciate anything.
I think we can get your name down there.
And then we have the temple.
Yeah, in fact, I was telling about that with Joni and Temple. So, whenever you play down here, we'll get you a Sunday gig in Temple right following this.
Yeah.
Okay.
With a friend as well, and we're working on a package thing where a friend of ours wants to do this up in Sherman, so we might do a Friday up there, Saturday here, Sunday in Temple. Okay. They're all 100 miles apart, so pretty easy to play.
I mean, I would stay down here. I would move down here.
Well, come on.
I would, but I have a 7-year-old, and he's
he needs
it's just tough, and I want to live here, but I can't right now.
There'll come a time.
There will,
That's right.
I'm gonna be patient.
It's that time of everything under heaven. There's a time for every season.
That's right.
Turn.
That's right. Pete Seeger, man, I love that guy.
Well, even King Solomon before that.
Yeah.
I think he wrote Ecclesiastes, didn't he?
Yeah.
I believe he did.
Yeah.
I believe he did. Jim, you've got a really cool style of music, and it bridges more than one style, but it's I can see why you contacted me, and I like the fact that you believe in yourself strongly, but you also are humble enough to realize you're one of many out there.
That's right.
Doing what we do, but you do it really well, and you're welcome here anytime. We've had a good visit today, and I know Helen came in and kind of a little later, and y'all had a little time together.
Yeah,
so
it was a good hang.
But yeah, man, we want you to just keep knocking them out, and when you start to plan your trip back down here, which if you're going to play here next year, you probably ought to plan that pretty quick.
Okay.
But, I mean, at least the second half of the year I haven't booked yet, but
I'll be October.
Yeah, we need
about
to plan,
this time right here.
We need to plan it probably the next week or so.
Okay.
10 days.
Well, y'all stay tuned and listen for him coming in
this
here
guy's
next
good.
year.
This guy's good.
Yeah.
I appreciate y'all so much. I
like
really
it.
do.
I like your music very much.
Thank you so much.
It's great to have I hate to call them our staff. No, it's our friends.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
Gene and Barbara,
It's some
Bruce,
good people
and
right
Valerie
here.
and Chris,
Good people.
and Reno,
Ashley.
Yep. It's real special to have this particular group of people because this is what we're all about, and you're what we're all about, and
you're in the music room.